After looking through the article, Lee, it almost felt like it was a love letter to Oklahoma City with Kevin Durant. Did you take that away from the conversations you had with him?
Yeah, a little bit, Dan. I mean, I just asked him, championships aside, just, how much pride he takes in kind of what's been built there. And when he looks back at, when he arrived in 2008, then to now, sort of what he sees. And he talked, he just talked for a few minutes about, the view outside of his window and all the new businesses going up and the people and the jobs. And, I mean, clearly there's a deep satisfaction in what's been built. Now, how you weigh that against, the need to win, the need for championships to kind of cement players' legacies, I'm not really sure. I don't know how much that kind of community pride and everything factors into free agent decisions, but clearly it means a great deal to him. So I think it's at least one factor in the ledger.
But do you think that had they bowed out against San Antonio, that would have had an effect on his eventual decision to either stay or leave in Oklahoma City?
I feel like every game they're winning right now is significant as far as I really don't. I mean, just talking to kind of people in Oklahoma City or the Thunder, no one really knows. I don't think what he's going to do or has a sense for it. So I do feel that every game he wins, let's say they've got that. He likes living there. He likes the community. He's proud of what they've built organizationally. Then it just comes down to the winning. And if he can prove this month, potentially next month too, that they can win, just like the Spurs and the Warriors can win, that his team's even better than those teams in the playoffs, then I don't really know how you validate a move out of there. It does feel like every game the Thunder wins kind of gets him closer to re-signing, even if it's on a short-term basis.
But I would think that he would have an idea what Russell Westbrook wants to do, that would affect his decision whether he was going to stay or not. And Westbrook's got another year before he's up. Do you feel like they're a package deal, or that they're going to be together with this, through the years?
I don't know, because so much of that I think depends on whether they feel like they can win a championship together, or if they feel as though, hey, we've tried this, we gave it a good shot, it didn't work. I don't really think it's going to come down to their personal relationship or their affection for each other. I think that's there. It's more, do they feel like that partnership can yield a title, or do they sort of feel like it's star-crossed? At this point, it looks a lot more promising, obviously, than it did several weeks ago. And that's why probably if you're handicapping this thing, the best bet would probably be that Durant does come back for another year. They kind of set up their free agency situations in line, and they both have to make the decision after next season, and we can go through all this all over again.
What about more likely to stay if they win or they lose? Or does that even I'm talking about winning a title.
I can't imagine them walking away if they won a title, because I don't think there's any consternation with anything in Oklahoma City with him, with the way it's run, with the coaching, with Westbrook. I just think it comes down to he's 27. They've knocked on the door a lot. They haven't won. And again, this is purely speculative, but I just think there's a lot of pressure on some of these top-tier megastars to deliver titles. And if he feels as if he can do it there, and right now it looks a lot more promising than it did, then I don't see why he would feel the need to walk away. But I do think in the last several years, think about Harden and the Ibaka injury and the Westbrook injury and his own injury and all the strife there with Reggie Jackson. I think at some point it probably, he probably surveyed the landscape, especially this season. You're looking at the Warriors, at the Spurs, they never lose, and wondering, well, why not us? And I think that sentiment gripped a lot of the NBA this year. I'm sure it was in play in Cleveland too, in Oklahoma City. But it shifted. Clearly these teams had another gear to get to, and that's where handicapping the playoffs is tricky. You don't really know if everybody's emptied the barrel, and potentially Oklahoma City just didn't, especially on defense. The way they're playing on defense, the way Durant's playing on defense, they didn't really show that. Clearly they had a little bit more to give, where the Warriors and Spurs were probably giving all.
He's Lee Jenkins, Sports Illustrated senior NBA writer, did the profile on Kevin Durant this week, Sports Illustrated. Is he comfortable being that big fish in the small pond?
Well, I feel like he's changed that discussion a little bit, because I don't know that there are small ponds anymore, and it's largely because of him. He's gotten everything I think a person could reasonably ask for from a branding perspective and commercials. And I mean, he is that global celebrity, and he did it from Oklahoma City. And it seems like the math there has changed, and he and Westbrook are, I think, largely responsible for it. So, he thinks of himself, he says, as kind of a small town kid, even though he's from outside D.C. Went to school obviously in Texas. But I don't think, like, from a celebrity standpoint, for everything he wants to accomplish, I feel like he can accomplish it all right there. And I think that's at this point part of his legacy too. So many players now, I don't think they have to make a decision necessarily based on market size. There are many bigger than Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook.
Why doesn't he want to be listed as a 7-footer?
I didn't ask him that, but that's so common. It's like all the big guys wanted to be listed smaller, and all the small guys wanted to be listed bigger. And you look at all these guys who they grow up, like Durant grew up with the ball in his hands. All those big guys say that. Well, I grew up playing point guard. Even Karl Anthony Towns, grew up playing point guard. And I think it goes back to a KG thing, right? I mean, they all want to be wings or backcourt guys at heart. LeBron's like that too. I think he still thinks of himself in some ways as a guard. They don't want to be power forwards or centers. I guess kind of they recall someone who's more plodding and kind of less agile and athletic. So I mean, I kind of get it from that standpoint. But when you sit with him, it's just so striking. And I'm talking to NBA players all the time, but his length. I mean, just the length of his arms and his legs, and you think about the way Oklahoma City's constructed, how Ibaka looks that way too, and Adams. And, there's a little quote in the story where Nazir Muhammad said, "We can play small too, we just do it with 7-footers." And I think that's right. I mean, they are so athletic and so long, and I think they've really kind of messed with the ball movement of San Antonio and Golden State.
Well, congrats again on another great profile there, and thanks for joining us, Lee.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Dan.
That's Lee Jenkins, Sports Illustrated.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.